Hey, what's up there, y'all? This is the Hillbilly Classid. I have a beer I want to talk about with you guys today. I reckon it's called Boulevard Whiskey Barrel Stout, and this beer is strong. It's got some strength to it. It's like 11.8% alcohol, and it is quite a bit more of a winter beer for me because I don't like to drink stuff like this during the summer. It's just a little too heavy, too thick. This is the color of it there. Nice coffee looking head to it. It's got some, I mean, it's you can't see through it. It's dark. So anyway, L'chaim, L'chaim. Yeah, it's straight up stout. It's got the nice whiskey on the front because it's whiskey barreled aged, and it's a little sweet. But you still have the roasted malts, which gives it more of like a coffee characteristic, at least for my taste. And yeah, I guess at 11.8%, you know, don't want to drink too many of those. I also want to talk about some of my a little bit of a travel experience. I did a video about traveling on Amtrak before, and I figured I'd talk about some of my other travels. I did a lot of traveling on my own. You know, it'd be a little bit more fun sometimes if I actually had traveling companions, but like sometimes it's really nice to meet new people and just it's it a lot of times you can be a little bit more free and kind of do what you want to do when you're going on your own. But first time I ever left the country, I went to Israel, and I saved up like I don't know because I was gonna go for like a month, and which I did. But I don't know. It was like I saved up around four grand, 4.5 grand, and I just kind of just did it up, did whatever I wanted. Um, and but I kind of had other people kind of set me up with places to stay, and like I'd say 2 days beforehand, like everything fell apart. Like because it was the time I went was like time for a holiday and stuff, and I was supposed to go stay in a yeshiva in Yerushalayim, which is Jerusalem, and like through a mutual friend or whatever. And then some people complained because it was supposed to be. They said that nobody that from that's not going to or attending this yeshiva should stay there. So I had to find a place, and this lady that which is a good friend of mine that owned a scooter shop next to the store that I managed. Um, she was she basically said, "Look, you can stay with my parents." So I went out, I kind of took her advice there because I had no other, didn't really have any other options. And they weren't really staying anywhere near that where I wanted to be at the time because they lived kind of in the south near Ashkelon and Gaza and places like that. And but I mean, it was it was an amazing time over there. I spent a week with them, and then I had some other stuff that got sorted out. So I went to Jerusalem, and I ended up touring the whole country. But like the first day that I was there was just kind of like, for one, I've never, been on a plane for like over 10 hours. I've never been on a plane for over 2 hours. So that was a whole experience in itself. And then when I got there, like I was told, usually somebody would let you use the phone or whatever, and I didn't have a plan set up yet or anything as far as phones. So I was asking people if I could use their phone. Most people just kind of acted like they didn't speak English, or they might not have spoken English. People from all over the world come there to visit there, so it doesn't surprise me. But I was just maybe just talking to all the wrong people, So I get my luggage and everything, and I at this point I'm thinking that I'm getting picked up at the airport, and I end up like just walking around trying to find a phone. I couldn't find it, and I didn't want to exchange money there so I could use a payphone because they pretty much told me that exchange rate is pretty horrible at the airport. So, most people say go to the post office, and there's other places that exchange money. But I kind of didn't have any other option, so I went to exchange money, and I mean, I really didn't have this part planned out at all. It was just, and this is just a word of advice: if you go to another country, really look up the money before you leave. I mean, I thought I looked it up and thought I had it in my mind, but once, with the whole situation going on, and I didn't know how I was going to get in touch with my ride and all this stuff. I really wasn't thinking that clearly after traveling for so long, and so I asked them for like $40, and hand me a bunch of coins and some paper, and I didn't even know what I was looking at. I was like, I was just like, I'm such an idiot. They could have just ripped me off completely, and I wouldn't know. Not saying that they would do that, but it's just always good to know what you're looking at and how much it is. So, and I mean, they have like coins that are like 10 shekels or whatever, and I think the exchange rate on that is like it's basically like $2.68. So it's not like it's a quarter or something. Like one shekel is, I think, roughly 27 cents to American. So then I asked them for where I can find a payphone, and they're like, there is no payphone here, and I'm like, okay, so I walk around, I try to ask some more people if there's a way I could use the phone. No luck. And then I asked somebody at a desk, and I asked if I could use the phone there. It's like some kind of information desk. They're like, there's a payphone station right over there. And when I looked over there, it's like on the other side of the actual money exchange place. So maybe they just didn't understand what I meant by payphone. Maybe that wording just wasn't there. So maybe it got lost in translation or whatever. Or they were just like, you idiot, it's on the side of this thing. But I didn't see it. Just asking. Especially if you walk up from the other side, it's not like you're going to see it. So I get there and it says 3 shekels for a thing. So I'm looking at my money and I don't even know what I have really. I put 5 shekels in it and it doesn't give me any change back. So there I paid 50 cents extra for it, I guess. So, and then when I called, my friend's dad, there was no answer. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm sitting there, I'm just walking around trying to find a payphone so I can not a payphone, but someone let me use the phone so I can call again or whatever. And as I was walking around, I was at a distance. I heard the phone ring, so I walk over there, and her dad called the payphone back. so that was pretty nice. But then I had to take a train. I get on the train because there's one by the airport, and I knew that I had to switch one time, like a couple stops, after the airport. And when while you're waiting at the airport, they announce everything in like 7 different languages or something. It's quite a few. But when I got off to the other stop, there was no other languages, and everything was in Hebrew. My Hebrew was not the greatest, but it definitely wasn't good then. So I asked somebody, which train I should get on, what side. So they told me, but nobody told me to get to the destination that I was going that I also had to get off at another stop. So I kept going, and I stopped hearing the stop that I was supposed to get off at. And then I asked somebody, I think it was like some German travelers or whatever. They're like, no, you needed to get off back there, and it's like to get back was gonna be almost impossible. So there was a lovely Israeli soldier from India waiting at that stop, and she allowed me to use her phone, which was very nice. And I don't remember her name, but she was very nice, and she should know nothing but good in the future and now. But basically, I got in touch, and they're like, you should have been, you're supposed to get off over there and all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't know. So, but luckily those lines ran actually parallel, so they just had to drive like 20 minutes to come get me. So it's not like it was that far off, but still, I mean, and at this point I'm probably running on like 20 hours of travel, so I was just exhausted. And then when I got there, it was this Mo shop. It's like a little village. Like nobody really spoke English. So for the first 7 days, like I mean, her family spoke English because they lived in America for a little while, but most of the other people didn't. So it was just it was a little bit of a culture shock, but at the same time, it wasn't just culture. It was like environment shock. Like I'd never been to a desert before, so even on the train, like I'm looking out of the window and it's like everything looked gray to me. Almost, I guess, the way the sun was shining that day or whatever it was, and like actually like saw camels like in a natural habitat way, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not where I'm accustomed to being because I grew up on the East Coast, so I've been up and down the East Coast many times, but never at that point never been to another country. So, but that was pretty cool experience. And even I got way more to the story than that. But of course, because I was there for like a year. But this is, I mean, not a year, but a month. But yeah, that was just the first day. I mean, it was just kind of a interesting experience. So anyway, that's all I got for right now. But if you ever have a chance to try Boulevard Whiskey Barrel Stout, it's pretty nice. Whiskey barrel aged from Boulevard. It's Kansas City, Missouri, and they make a lot of good beers. Actually, I've had about 4 or 5 different kind of beers from there, and I have not been disappointed with any. So, anyways, l'chaim, l'chaim. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy, and you know you should prosper physically, spiritually, and do everything with joy and love. All right.